Hey guys, hope everybody's doing really well. This is my recipe for making monkey bread, super easy. It's not my recipe at all. It's actually my husband's mother's recipe, so it's my mother-in-law's recipe. Luckily, I'm one of the people that loves their mother-in-law. So anyway, it's super easy to make. Anybody can make it, whether you're a cook or a baker, it does not matter. Everyone can make this. And when you do, you will find yourself very popular. This is great for parties, potlucks, for work events. I wouldn't make it necessarily for 2 or 3 people just because there's a lot, but you can if that's what you want. I make this all the time for the people at work, which is what you can see I'm wearing. The Lucky Finns, which is the official softball team for Finding Nemo the Musical softball team at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, I don't speak for the brand of the company, just letting you know why I'm wearing this shirt. But anyway, I make this recipe all the time for people at work, usually in the morning. It's a great way to start your day, it gives you lots of energy. It's sugar, it's cinnamon, and buttermilk biscuits. That's pretty much all it is. But everyone loves it. Normally it's a finger food. However, in this time of COVID-19, which is when this video is being created, most people don't pull it apart anyway. It's supposed to be, the recipe is supposed to be you use your fingers and you touch what you eat, basically. But you know, at work we have our germaphobes and things like that, so people always cut slices, so that's not a problem. Anyway, that's just an old way of doing it. Now we have our new way. So anyway, enjoy. I will show you step by step everything you need to do and what you need ingredient wise. And you'll see it's super easy. You can make it with your kids. I promise you that. All right, hope you guys enjoy. If you like, share this recipe with other people. I'm definitely not competitive. Okay guys, here's everything that you need for this recipe. So you're gonna get 2 tubes of the Buttermilk Biscuits Grands. That is the regular buttermilk biscuits, not the flaky layers. If you get the flaky layers, it will not work properly. I get the buttermilk, but they also have buttery taste in, and I think they have country style buttermilk biscuits, but as long as they're not the flaky layers and they're buttermilk biscuits, you're fine, they will work. So that's 2 tubes of those. You need a saucepan. You need 1.5 sticks of margarine. I use Blue Bonnet, it works the best for me. Do not use butter. I'm not a food scientist, but I believe that the butter does not get hot enough to melt the sugar properly. So I always use margarine. I prefer Blue Bonnet. Again, that's 1.5 sticks. For the actual prep, to coat the pieces of buttermilk biscuits, you're going to use 2/3 of sugar, 2/3 of a cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And for the sauce, you're going to use 1 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You need a bundt cake pan. You also need a Sterilite 4.6 quart container. So you're gonna use that. I will show you why you use the locking lid. It's not mandatory for this recipe. I will just show you why it's really convenient later. It works best for me. So again, you have that. You need the cutting board and the cooling rack. So I believe that's everything. So again, once again, that's 2/3 a cup of sugar for the prep and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon for the sauce. For the sauce, you're also going to have 1.5 sticks of margarine. I use Blue Bonnet, and 2 tubes of Buttermilk Biscuits Grands, non-flaky layers, a bundt cake pan, and a 4.6 quart locking container. All right, let's get started. Oh, there's one more ingredient that I will tell you about later, but it's not part of the recipe. It's something I've added later. I will tell you when the time comes. Okay guys, before we get started, we're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Get that started before we start making the prep. So again, that's 350 degrees oven. Okay guys, we're gonna get started. I tend to use some rubber gloves or food prep gloves, just because I don't like when my fingers get slimy. And also it's, you know, nice and sanitary for anybody else, because this is supposed to be a finger food, which is ironic that I'm showing you this recipe during a pandemic where you're supposed to social distance, but most people that I make this for do not eat it the way it's supposed to be eaten anyway. They slice off pieces and stuff like that. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. So to get started, like I said, this is 2/3 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now what I like to do is I like to shake it around like that so it gets nice and even. There you go, that's good. So like that, so you get started. Then we're going to take Then you take your buttermilk biscuits. Oh, I forgot to mention that you're supposed to have a kitchen knife or some kind of knife. Hopefully that's self-explanatory. I regret that I did not put that in the beginning, but there it is. So you just open these up. Now the way I do it, one of my hacks, one of my cheats, is I actually take 2 at a time. I put them in opposite places like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to cut these pieces each. There's actually 2 discs each. I'm doing 2 at a time. You can do 1 at a time. This is where you can actually have your kids help you. Just teach them how to use a knife safely or use a child-proof knife. All they want to do is cut into what the kids call a hashtag today. My generation calls it a pound sign. So you're going to do 2 cuts like that. Then you turn them and make a hashtag. Go. So once they're all cut into 9 pieces, you pull the pieces apart. Make sure you can see. You're going to take each piece, separate it, throw it into the sugar and cinnamon coating. There you go. Make sure you separate them. It doesn't matter if they're not all exactly the same size. It really does not matter. They're all going to be pretty much the same. Then I get the second tube and do the same thing. Again, that's why I love this Sterilite container. So easy to do. It's actually kind of fun. You could turn it into a dance. I was supposed to do this with my nephew and my niece, but unfortunately because of social distancing I can't be with them right now. But it would be so much fun that when it comes time to shake, put on their favorite song and have them dance, do a shaking dance. That's what I recommend. That's what my plan was to do with my nephew and my niece. Okay. Now there will be some extra mixture in the bottom of this, which is fine because we're going to add that later, you'll see. Okay, so that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Now the thing that I add, the secret ingredient that is not documented, are mini marshmallows. You don't want to use too many because if you use too many they will expand and take over the recipe. So what I do is, unfortunately these are sticking to each other, but that's okay. So I do that, sprinkle these in here. They need to be mini marshmallows. I tried doing it with full-size marshmallows once. They expanded and knocked half of the dough out of the bundt cake pan. So again, you only want to use mini marshmallows and not too many of them. Basically what it's going to do is they will melt into the pieces as they bake. And I think I've made this 6 or 7 times for the people at work before they realized that there was marshmallows in it. And that's one of the women asked me, she's like, are there marshmallows? I was like, yes, you're the first person to guess. So yes. So this is my secret ingredient. This is not part of my husband's mother's recipe, just so you know. This is my own little addition. So I do that, put them in there. So then you put this back on. Get them all mixed up in there. You don't have to, but I choose to spray my bundt cake pan with pan so that when it's time to take it out, it's a lot easier. Again, it's not necessary, it will work if you don't have it. I've never had problems with it in the past. So, anywho. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna transfer all the pieces to the pan. I do handfuls like this. Actually, I did not have much extra. Sometimes there's a lot extra. It depends on how you shake it and all that. So, there you go. Okay, so that is how you prep the pieces. So again, this is the prep. Okay guys, the next step is how we make the sauce. So here's how I do it. Again, if you know about cooking and baking, you may have your own way of doing this. So you're gonna take 1 stick of the BLUE BONNET margarine and then the half stick right there. Then what I do is I put the sugar right on top like that and the 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. There you go. Now, make sure you get all that in there. Then what you want to do is you're going to want to put the heat at no more than 4. On mine, it's 1 to 10. You want to do it on low, medium, because medium is technically around 5 or 5.5. I do 4 at the largest. You do not want to. Trust me, I'm impatient. I've tried to speed this up before. If you do it too high, what's going to happen is the butter is going to melt and boil before the sugar does, or it's going to turn the sugar into candy. You don't want that. So basically what you want to do is just put it at 4 or a low medium. and be patient. It seems like nothing's happening, but then it'll start happening. And we get to that point, I will show you how it goes. Okay, one of the things I like to do is when it's starting to melt, I like to get the sugar wet. I honestly have no idea if this helps or anything. It's just I'm teaching you the way I do it, because however I've been doing it, it's been coming out perfectly. Now, the reason I said go slow is because when you try to do too high of a heat, I'm not sure if it's the butter melting too fast or the sugar not melting, but when I've tried that in the past, when I go to make the sauce, when the monkey bread comes out, it's all granulated instead of being like a coating of sauce. And you want that nice, gooey, hot sugar cinnamon sauce. Cinnamony, there's a word I just made up. Sauce. And you want it to be like that. So, I like to get all the sugar nice and wet. Now, this is where if you had excess sugar from the prep container, you just add that to this. It doesn't make a difference, it still works. It's never too much to ruin it. Okay, so I'll let that go for a little bit. Oops. And see if it gets in. Let me put this here. There you go. It's been a couple minutes. I'm just going to stir this a little bit more to make sure that the sugar is nice and coated, so that it's all off of the sides, nothing sticking. And what's going to happen is eventually you're going to start seeing some bubbles, some like slight boiling. And that's exactly what you want. There you go. Okay guys, this is when it starts to bubble, and you just want to make sure you move that last bit of margarine around, make sure it's all completely melted. This is all fine. You want to get the stuff off the sides, you want to get all that amazing sauce. Like that. Now, we're gonna see it bubble, and we're gonna let that happen for like 45 seconds to a minute, just to make sure that the sugar is completely melted and the cinnamon and all that is combined. If you do it too long, basically what happens is sugar becomes candy, and then it won't be a glaze anymore. It'll be like a hard molassesy type thing. You don't want that. You want it to be a little bit liquid. So basically you want it to slide off of the spoon or spatula, whatever you're using to stir, easily, kind of like that. See what I'm saying? Great. So I'm just going to stir that a little bit. Get that. We are now going to take the coated pieces, the glaze that we just made. We're going to pour that over the pieces, just like that. As you can see, hopefully I'm covering my own light. I apologize for that. Now I like to get every last bit out because it's yummy goodness. Get all of that coating in there. Okay, perfect. So then I like to just make sure that all of the sauce is going through as many of the pieces as you can. Now, when this is actually baked and you see the end result, the pieces that are top for us right now will be the bottom, and they will be a little, they'll be golden brown and they'll be a little drier. The top, which is now the bottom, is going to be a lot of glaze, the wet, gooey, the parts I like. But you'll see different people like different parts of it. And we set the timer to 45 minutes. Here we go. One of the things I want to say is that you want to put it in the middle of the oven. You don't want it to be too high or too low, so I put it in the center rack. Okay guys, one of the reasons I like to use this container, you will see, when you use this container, this specific size, again, it's a 4.6 quart Sterilite container with a locking lid. When you use this one, it's the exact perfect size, which you will see. So what you're going to do is, while our monkey bread is baking, we're going to take the lid of the container. We are then going to take some aluminum foil. I have this industrial one from Sam's Club. It's not like I'm a baker, I don't know why I have so much. So you're just going to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to then take your lid. I like to make sure it's right in the center. There you go. Oops, I messed up. There you go. Perfect. So then you take that. I make the shape so I actually know where the middle of the lid is. And that's just to prepare for when the monkey bread is done. We'll get back to that later. Okay guys, 45 minutes is up. So that's how it will look. It'll be nice and golden brown at the top. You can see that right there. So that's what you want it to look like. Okay guys, so now we're gonna take the bundt cake pan, the monkey bread, out of the oven. I'm gonna put that on the cooling rack. Now you're gonna want that to sit there for about 10 to 15 minutes. What happens is it'll cool down enough, it'll let the glaze solidify a little bit more. Again, I'm not a food scientist, I don't know if that's what's happening. I just know that if I try to take it out too quickly, my glaze is always a little runny and I don't like that. So, as you can see, in here you can see like some of the marshmallows are like kind of toasted. Some of the marshmallow flavor has melted into the monkey bread. But like I said, so these are the crispy pieces right here. So some people are gonna prefer that. Then this top part is gonna eventually be the bottom when we turn it over, which we'll get to in a minute. All right, so again, we're gonna let that cool for 10 minutes. Okay guys, it's been 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is, like I said, what we did earlier, we took the lid from the Sterilite container, the locking container, you put the aluminum foil on top. What you're gonna do is you're gonna then take the lid with the foil like that. Now what I do, let me just make sure you can see this. So you want to then find the edges like that. There you go. So basically it puts all of the aluminum foil to catch all of the sauce that wants to try to drip out. Now, because the pan is hot, I'm going to use my UV gloves. I'm not sponsored for any of this, so any of these products, it's just what I happen to have. Okay, so you turn it over. You put the lid on like that. You turn it over. Now, what I use is usually a spoon or a spatula. So let me grab a spoon to then take the top part off. There you go, and you can actually see it ooze down all of the sauce like that. There you go. So I put this in the sink so I don't burn my fingers. So there you go. You can actually see all of the sauce running down to the side. And again, this is why I love the Sterilite locking container. Let me move it back over this way. So now what you do is you take the aluminum foil, kind of make a little package like that. Now, if you're going to be transporting this, obviously if you're going to be presenting this at home, you can put it in a fancier dish or something. So now what you want to do is you want to take the bottom part of the container, which now becomes the top. Put it over there. Go, squeeze it in there. Make sure all the aluminum foil is out of the way. Like that. Yep. Then you could lock it, and now you have a way of transporting it. It can't leak. None of the sauce will leak out. It's all protected from there. And also it will hold in the warmth. I have a half an hour journey to work from home. So it takes me a half an hour to get to work. And I get there half an hour early. So about an hour after I make this and take it to work, it's still nice and hot when I open it up and present it to the people at work. So, hope you enjoy. So that is the recipe for monkey bread that I know in the container. So it's nice and easy to carry. You can put it on your lap. It's a little warm, but it's not crazy hot. And if you in your car and it moves around, it's not going to spill. It's not going to drip, and it's going to look perfect when you open it up. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy eating this. It's so much fun. Again, enjoy.